Hello everyone, welcome back to another weekly episode of your UFC hot takes. As always, if you want to be in these videos in the future, subscribe to the channel and go to my community tab and look for what is your UFC/MMA hot take with a certain week on it. Go to that, leave your comment, leave a reply to that community post, and you will most likely be in the video next week. The post comes out every single Friday morning and the video comes out that following Monday. And also, if you want to see more Kindle content, I did a collab with the Leo Cooper MMA. So go check that video out right here. Go check that out. Subscribe to his channel. Leave a like on this video as well. Watch the whole thing. It's a great talk, a great experience for me. I think for them as well. I had a great time talking with these guys. You had a really cool, a great conversation. So go check that out, please, right here. But let's get on to the video and get to your hot takes. But starting off with, we have the Sugar Show would have finished Volk in a similar fashion to how Islam just beat him. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We don't know how the power of Sean O'Malley translates to the featherweight division. He has power for a bantamweight, but does he have power for a featherweight? We don't know. But then again, Volkanovski is getting old. He's 35 years old. He's taking some damage in his career now. That Islam KO has probably only made his chin even weaker. So I can see a possibility. There's definitely an alternate universe where we have Sean O'Malley KOing Volk out cold with a check left hook, similar to the way he finished Aljamain Sterling. But do I see it happening? Right now in my brain, no. Volk has been an absolute world beater at featherweight. I don't really see anybody really taking it to him besides Ilya Topuria. In my opinion, for Volk to lose right now in his career at featherweight, he needs to fight somebody with an insane amount of power, and we just don't know how well Sugar Sean O'Malley's power translates to the featherweight division. Can it translate well? Of course it can, but I think he's a bit, right now he's a bit too small. He will need a lot of time to build himself into the division, and once he does that, maybe the power does translate. But if it's like a short notice, he's the champion right now at bantamweight. If he goes for a double champ status, I don't know. I think he would need a lot of time to build himself into featherweight, and that would kind of ruin him at his bantamweight weight because, again, he's already a pretty large bantamweight. So how would he balance out bantamweight and featherweight? Because he has to put on weight to make featherweight and to be competitive in featherweight, but he also can't put on too much weight where he's absolutely dying trying to make weight for bantamweight. So we'll see what happens. Will this fight ever happen in the first place? Can be another question. It can happen. Do I see it happening soon? Definitely not. It might be a year or two. And I think by that time, I think this does make sense. Maybe this will be an easier take to digest because Volk will be, 37, 38 by the time he fights Sean O'Malley, if he's still even champion at featherweight by that time. So if Volk really is that age by the time he fights Sean O'Malley, like 37, 38, I can definitely see O'Malley probably chinning him because, as you age, your chin deteriorates. And Volk doesn't have the most granite chin you've ever seen. And definitely after the Islam loss, it's only going to be worse, as I mentioned before. Oh my God, this take gets me every time. If you don't know the context around this, basically me and Craney in my last live stream, we had a back and forth debate about who would win, a Chimpanzee or Bo Nickel. Me personally, I believe the Chimpanzee would absolutely maul Bo Nickel in a fight, but my boy Cranium here thinks the opposite and thinks Bo Nickel would actually sit at range and pump a jab and a 1-2 at the Chimpanzee and eventually flying knee TKO him. And probably, I guess at this point, to say he was spinning wheel kick him in the face and knock out the Chimpanzee. I don't know. Let me know your take. Who would win, a Chimpanzee or Bo Nickel as well? I don't know, but thank you, Cranium. Appreciate you, bro. Stipe would have beaten John Jones. People are counting him out despite what he's done to people like DC. I don't know. The reason why I'm saying this is because I know John Jones is also getting older in his career, but I think once you hit the age of 40 or higher, it's just going to be difficult for you to really succeed in any division. I understand we saw Glover Teixeira be champion at light heavyweight when he was, 42? But I think Stipe is a bit different. I just think Glover Teixeira had a really heavy grappling advantage. I think he was the most elite grappler in the light heavyweight division at the time. And I think once you get to a certain point definitely in age. You have to have a really high level of grappling skill for you to be successful, because guess what? The striking slows down, you become a bit washed, the speed goes down, and so it's going to be more difficult for you to land shots on the feet at a higher age. So having that technical ability of grappling and being able to outsmart people and being able to use their body weight against them really helps an older fighter. So I don't see Stipe really having much of a chance against Jon Jones, because of the fact that Jon Jones can grapple as well. And Stipe, even though that he can grapple, he isn't primarily a grappling first guy. He will grapple when he has to and when he needs to, but he isn't this kind of guy who's going to go out there and just grapple you for 5 rounds unless you're Francis Ngannou. Unless there's an obvious hole in your grappling game, Stipe Miocic will probably try to stand on the feet and strike with you. And I think we're going to see Jon Jones be the one doing the grappling, him shooting takedowns, him clinching into the cage, going for trips. It's going to be up to Stipe to really strike with him. So I just don't really know how well Stipe will do against Jon Jones. And I think at this point, when he's this old in his career, he's going to be slowing down heavily. He's 41. He won't be as fast. I think he would have lost to Jon Jones. I think that age is just too much for me to gamble on. I think I'm willing to predict Jon Jones to win, finding a guy who is in his early 40s. Guys who are old don't typically do well. Teixeira was an outlier. He is the only one pretty much in a very long time, especially in new age MMA. He's the only one to be successful at that age. Most guys are definitely done by the time they're 35, 36, 37. 38 is pretty much the cutoff of your success. Maybe you can still be successful, but being champion is definitely out of the possibilities at that age. It's not out of the possibility, but you don't really see 38-year-old champions in the UFC anymore, especially a 42 or 41-year-old Stipe Miocic. I think he would have lost to Jon Jones, but again, the fight never happened. It's he said, she said. It's what if. So if you were picking Stipe to win, it's not the worst pick in the world, but I think all the evidence suggests that Jon Jones probably would have beaten Stipe Miocic. Volkanovski is overhyped. No, I don't think so just yet. I know he lost to Islam. It was on short notice. This is kind of recency bias to me. No shots at you or anything, but this is kind of, I think, an overarching scheme that people are kind of calling Volkanovski overrated now because of his loss to Islam Makhachev. I think that it really just entails the recency bias. Again, he took this on short notice. He was going up a weight class. There was just a lot of things that were against Volkanovski, and I don't think he's overrated. He's still, in my opinion, Volkanovski is the best featherweight of all time, and definitely the best featherweight right now in the division, because even before the Islam rematch, people were picking him to win. I think most polls that I saw were like 80% Volkanovski wins against Islam. The majority of people were picking him to win, even as an underdog against Islam. So he wasn't really, I guess you kind of can't have an argument for him being overhyped, but I think most people were kind of giving him his props. And now, I guess the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm kind of realizing people might have been overhyping Volkanovski. I'm not going to lie. I'll use my own point against me here. I mean, people were picking Volkanovski to beat Islam. I think it exactly was a week and a half for him. He also had the shoulder surgery they got recently done like 3 weeks prior to the fight. I mean, he had so many factors against him in that Islam fight, but people were still picking him as an underdog to beat the best lightweight that we've ever seen ever. I know Khabib was so dominant, but Islam is right there. If he's not number one, he's number two. And people were very, very confident in Volkanovski winning. So I can kind of see your point in Volkanovski being overhyped a little bit, but is he so overhyped or he's unbearable that all Volkanovski fans are terrible? Not in my opinion, no. But I can kind of see the overhyping. I kind of see your point there. And I somewhat tend to agree with you. Strickland TKOs Hamzat in the championship rounds if they fight. This to me, thank you, Brandon Taylor, but this to me is not a hot take. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I kind of misread the question here. I thought that this question was asking me if the fight goes past the first round between Strickland and Hamzat, then Strickland would probably win in the 4th and 5th rounds. But what the statement is actually saying is that Strickland would win outright just by 4th or 5th round finish, not if it goes past the first round, then Strickland would probably win the 4th and 5th rounds, which is the way I interpreted it. So I'm sorry, you can kind of rephrase the question in your brain just like how I did. I don't mean that Strickland would win outright in a matchup versus Hamzat, even though it's very possible, but I was assuming that he was referencing that if it goes past the first round, it would be real problems for Hamzat in those championship rounds. I think that this is pretty much common knowledge. I think everybody with a pretty much intact brain right now, no shots, no shade, but I think anybody who really thinks about MMA and how styles work between Strickland and Hamzat, if the fights go to the later rounds, I think for sure Strickland probably TKOs Hamzat. I mean, it would be incredibly shocking to see Hamzat go 5 hard rounds and not get hurt by Strickland in like the 4th or 5th round and not convincingly clearly lose those rounds. It'd be incredibly shocking. But I think most people would agree that Hamzat's cardio in the later rounds, especially in the championship rounds, if he ever does a 5-rounder, would definitely be his weakest point. And if anybody, I think anybody with a decent amount of cardio, if they can survive to the championship rounds, they probably do whoop on Hamzat and 10-8 him, or just win the round clearly because he'll probably be gassed out from going so hard in the first round. But then again, I don't know. We might see Hamzat suddenly become the best championship round fighter of all time and just completely ragdoll Strickland in the 4th and 5th round like he was nothing and not gas and be the next Marab at middleweight. MMA works weird like that, so that can definitely happen, but the odds of that happening is very, very low. But the way MMA has been this year, it wouldn't surprise me. It would surprise me, but it wouldn't be like, oh my God, what is this? There's been so many upsets. There's been so many weird fights that happened this year. I can't be shocked by anything anymore. It is what it is. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching this video up to this point. I surely do appreciate it. Like and subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. Again, as always, if you want to be in these videos in the future, subscribe to the channel and then go to my community tab and reply there. Or if you're too lazy for that, go to my Twitter at KYND1E, Kindle with a 1, and reply to my tweet there. Again, lastly, these come out every Friday morning, so be prepared every Friday to put in your hot take. And also check out that podcast. Again, link in the description as well. Thank you. I'm out of here. Peace.